Right now, we're still in the middle of general gaming audiences downplaying Mario Kart World, right? We've seen a lot of copes about this, ever since it was unveiled from it looks disappointing, it's not going to sell Switch 2s, it's not going to be as good as 8 Deluxe. I've seen so many people say the online is dead now and nobody plays it. And obviously all of this is like a complete lie, but there's a lot of people in the community who still perpetuates this. People like Darkside Phil who actively just relentlessly just push these kind of narratives to justify their perspectives on the game and their experiences with it. Like in reality, World has been very successful. It's been very popular, and I expect it's going to go on to be one of the most popular games on Switch 2. This is a game that I think is going to sell like upwards of 20 million copies. And of course, everyone's kind of laughing at me at this point because, haha, but 8 8 exists and people are still playing that, which, first of all, is not a flex because 8 doing well directly contributes to World doing well. If you're a big fan of 8, chances are you're going to pick up World. But second of all, and this is actually why I wanted to make this video, people don't want to admit this, but Mario Kart 8 was hated when it came out too. Like if you weren't there day one, you don't remember people complaining about the character roster, the track design, the lack of content, the online play. There were so many people just adamantly pushing this idea that Mario Kart 8 would not save the Wii U and that the Wii U was doomed. And then Mario Kart 8 went on to be one of the best-selling games ever made. It's remarkable, looking back on it and how quickly it's been forgotten, in order to push this narrative that Mario Kart World can't compete. But, Mario Kart 8 was always derided under this idea that it just wouldn't be successful, that people wouldn't enjoy it, that it was just a lazy cash grab sequel that was just, more of the same. And obviously that wasn't true because 8 is like the most beloved Mario Kart ever, one of my personal favorite racing games of all time. But like at the same time, like, are you really gonna look at Mario Kart 8 and then look at Mario Kart World and then try and justify like, well, why would I own Mario Kart World? Like, I don't know, because it's a new game with new features. like I love Mario Kart 8. I've been playing it for a decade straight, but like it was time for a new Mario Kart. And I imagine most fans feel the same way. Like, why exactly would I go back to 8 when I have a brand new Mario Kart that I haven't played to death yet, that I haven't gotten all the time trials in, that I haven't like maxed out all my online stuff? Like, World is a fantastic experience, and 8, because it's an older game, can't really compete with that feeling of being a fresh, new, exciting Mario Kart. And this is kind of my take when talking about this. Like, how exactly is Mario Kart 8 going to outperform Mario Kart World? Because that's been like a defining cope over the past couple of weeks. Like ever since people started saying that like Mario Kart World has been declining in players, like the narrative has been like, well, they've just gone back to playing 8 Deluxe. Completely failing to acknowledge that like all the support 8 Deluxe has gotten all over the years, the fact that Deluxe is a re-release to begin with, the fact that like they're on the same console from the same developer on the same series. It's like, yeah, I bet a lot of people are playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe right now because it's a good game, and people might want to switch between the two. It's just people keep making these like assertions with nothing to back it up. Like absolutely nothing. Like I have never heard a good justification as to why Mario Kart World is so polarizing. Like every single time people just bring up the price. And that has nothing to do with the game itself. It has nothing to do with the Switch 2. It has nothing to do with anything. But like, people have to talk about the price point because that's all they got. It's like, a feminist calling you an incel, like that's all they got, like they can't really do anything more than that. It's just a basic default, effortless thoughtless response because they don't know anything about the game. They can't evaluate it. They can't judge it. They're not really talking about, its negative aspects because they won't acknowledge any of the positives. Like if any of these people had any experience with Mario Kart World at all, they would know that it's a fun video game. And yet, so many of these people cannot bring themselves to admit it. Once again, history repeats itself because when Mario Kart 8 came out, no one talked about how it was the best Mario Kart ever and how it had all these amazing tracks and all these cool new features. No, what they were talking about back then was this narrative that it wouldn't save the Wii U. Like, does anyone remember that Polygon article that came out and claimed that Mario Kart 8 would be the least selling Mario Kart ever? Which was, considering it went on to be the best-selling game, one of the best-selling games ever, that completely blew up in their faces, right? It was completely wrong. It was like that gay marriage diagram that people love sharing on Twitter these days. Like, it was just completely and abjectly wrong. With Mario Kart World, we're seeing the same patterns where a bunch of people who do not play the game, who have no intention of playing the game, who want to see Nintendo fail, they have an active agenda to try and gaslight as many people as possible into thinking Mario Kart World is a failure, that it's not good, that nobody wants to play it, like out of a desperate attempt at like propping up like PC gaming or gacha games or whatever slop they're trying to like shovel down your throats that week. It is going to result in the same thing where eventually Mario Kart World will have developed an extremely dedicated fan base who will celebrate the game's successes later on down the line. We see this all the time, but the people in the online gaming space don't actually play everything that comes out. They do not know as much about Mario Kart World as they say they do. And it does need to be acknowledged more often that nothing these people say has any value whatsoever. Mario Kart World is a huge success story and has been right out the gate. And yet the vast majority of the gaming public, the vast majority of these grifters, like these YouTubers, these commenters, Twitter users, right? They still delusionally believe that the Switch 2 still has not received its major console selling game. Because that's been a reoccurring thing we've seen a lot is that like, well, if Mario Kart World is a failure and it isn't as good as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, nobody's going to want to buy a console for it. Like, hey, genius, like they already have, like a lot of people are waiting for the holidays. A lot of people are waiting for later on, people don't have to get the new Nintendo console right away. And that's just the fact of the matter is like, why exactly would they get a Switch 2 when they still have plenty of great games to play on their Switch 1? The ZA is coming out on it. Prime 4 is coming out on it. Like there's just so much to look forward to on Switch 1. Like you don't necessarily need a Switch 2 if you're not super into the idea right now. And you are going to see a lot of these people, and actually have in a lot of cases, you're going to see a lot of these major Nintendo Switch 2 critics eventually cave, buy a Switch 2 with Mario Kart World. You are going to see Soy Girl like cuck at a certain point. You've already seen Mutahar bend the knee. Like you're going to see like endless examples of this over the next several months. So like, why exactly should I ever take what any of these people say seriously ever again? Because they're all just grifting idiots. We saw this with like the Hunter Schafer Zelda rumor. We're seeing this now with like the Metroid Prime 4 cost $100 million to make rumor. Like none of these people have any credibility at all. And it is high time we as fans start to reject their nonsense.